Get Lucky was top of the charts. Iron Man 3 had just come out. Obama was just into his second term as president. And the Harlem Shake was a viral trend. Those were all things happening in the world the last year Chelsea won at Old Trafford in 2013. It's been 12 years, 12 long years since Chelsea managed to walk away from that ground with 3 points in the Premier League. Can tomorrow finally be the night that Chelsea avenge and end this curse at Old Trafford? It's very hard to preview a game away at Old Trafford and against Man United generally, because it's been baffling watching Chelsea against Man United for a long time now, because for a lot of those battles and occasions, more so in recent years, Chelsea have gone in as favourites, or at the very least on form, look a lot more suited to win the game. And no matter what form and shape Man United take leading up to the game against Chelsea at Old Trafford, we seem to conspire to fail to win, drop our performance levels several notches, and that gives United the chance to maybe win, or in a lot of cases draw. The context, of course, of this game is not only what's going on at Man United, but more so Chelsea. Obviously, we come into this game after drawing against Brentford in disappointing fashion and the frustrating defeat against Bayern Munich on Wednesday. So this is my preview, my team selector for Man United versus Chelsea in the Premier League on Saturday evening. We'll be looking at Maresca's press conference, looking at Man United, and then I'll give you my predicted 11. Please do like, subscribe, give me your thoughts on this game and your predicted 11 for Chelsea in the comments below. Please do get involved. It's great to hear what you have to say about the Chelsea games. So let's start off, as we always do in these previews, with Maresca's press conference. The great thing is, whenever Maresca does a press conference and you get through it without any sort of wild or nasty shocks about injury, that's a positive. That's what we got today. I think the more relevant, or at least notable quote from this press conference, was what he had to say about the Raheem Sterling and Axel Disasi situation, because both players are basically in the bomb squad, one of, I think, the last two remaining from the bomb squad, and they're having to train separately in the evenings away from the first team. And we've heard that apparently, I believe it's the PFA, are looking to investigate this, and he was asked directly about it, and he gave a really relatable quote about his dad being a fisherman and working very late. As other people have pointed out, a lot of amateur footballers, even players in like the non-league, have to get used to training in the evenings because they work another job. Now, I think that, let's not dive straight into the bomb squad stuff. We've talked about it enough. But I thought it was a really relatable quote by Maresca that I think will win him a lot of favour with supporters. Because at the end of the day, the context, I don't like the bomb squad scenario. I just don't. I don't think it's great, because you're hanging and keeping players around that clearly have no future at the club. However, these are players being paid a lot of money and living a life I think most of us would love to. I know this is all context, and I'm not someone that likes throwing out all the footballers get paid a lot of money, because it's very selective, that argument, but I just thought the quote was a good one by Maresca, so I had to point it out. Let's look at Man United. So this is the Man United curse, and to be honest, all form suggests that Chelsea have a great opportunity to end the curse. If you look at Man United pre-game and looking what they've done so far this season, it's not been a great time for Ruben Amorim. Obviously, losing the Manchester derby last weekend at the Etihad comfortably 3-0. They were well beaten in that game. Obviously, so far this season, they've been knocked out of the League Cup in historic fashion and shocking fashion to Grimsby away from home. They lost their first game of the season to Arsenal, which is actually one of their better performances. Drew away to Fulham. They did beat Burnley, but that required a very late penalty from Bruno Fernandes. They're currently 14th. And there are many questions around Man United. Yes, they're recording record profits, but on the pitch, they are tanking. And that is something that Ruben Amorim is going to have to arrest and stop pretty quickly as we head towards the October international break if he wants to keep his job. As I say, I could sit here and talk about how bad tactically Man United are, and I've done it multiple times before Chelsea go and play them. This is the way we exploit them. These are the things that they're failing at. These are the things that a lot of teams are exposing and benefiting off. That's not a guarantee Chelsea are going to exploit them and capitalise on them. I do think set pieces is kind of the highest percentage one I would look at, purely because, even if Chelsea aren't playing great in open play, I think structurally we look a lot more settled at set pieces, especially attacking set pieces, and look a lot more threatening at them. So as Arsenal proved, they and Chelsea proved against Fulham, right? You don't need to be playing great, but if you get one good set piece, if you have one good delivery and the right players in the right position, that being Joao Pedro, Chelsea can cause a lot of issues. I think there is a massive question mark when I spoke to Scott Saunders about this regarding who's going to be the goalkeeper. Is Bayern going to keep his place? Is Lamens, the new goalkeeper, going to start his first Man United game at home to Chelsea, a game they have to win? But given their goalkeeping situation, I mean, how much worse can it get from a goalkeeping point of view? I think this system is bizarre by Ruben Amorim because, you especially look at the defence, which has so many changes in it game to game, a back three, which aren't really forming relationships, but also in central midfield, Bruno Fernandes playing effectively a holding role at times just doesn't feel suitable. Again, if Bruno Fernandes and Ugarte start as the double six, which they did against Man City, I would think logically, surely Kobe Mainoo's going to come in, which is going to be an improvement and probably not great for Chelsea because that is a better midfielder. But if he is, Cole Palmer, you're looking in those kind of gaps between the back three and the central midfield, those pockets of spaces where Chelsea can really exploit Man United. Their lack of speed at times in defence, their lack of just coordination. Players just don't, there's not a fluidity about Man United. There's not a sense that players know where they're supposed to be and feel confident enough in each other to back each other up, or just, there's intangible things to it. I think at Man United, it's not just a symptom of a tactical or coaching problem, which I think Amorim bears some responsibility to, but for a long time now, it's also a cultural problem at Man United where players, just don't seem to be elevating. I do think they have threats, undeniably. Benjamin Sesko, Brian Mbeumo, Ahmad, I think is a very talented winger. These are all players that can hurt Chelsea, especially in a game state where Man United are looking to transition on Chelsea. But I do think if Chelsea get an early goal here, I think the whole dynamic of it changes, a bit like Man City. I think if that game dragged a little bit longer, there were going to be opportunities for Man United to counter. Once City got that first goal, when they were really using the wide threats of Doku to really go at Man United, there was space there to exploit, and I think that's what Maresca will also be targeting. So let's have a look at my predicted starting 11. We are coming off of the first Champions League game, so we expect some rotation, but it still is a big game. And because we dropped points against Brentford, we need to make up for that in this game and we need to win it. Rob Sanchez will start in goal. Felt sorry for Rob because he, I think made some big saves the other night and deserved a lot more. He was one of the better players for Chelsea, and you could see by the anger thrown towards Malo Gusto after the third goal. In defence, I was toying with this because there's an argument, do you stick with the Gusto right wing back in this game, looking to run at Man United, looking to kind of match them up in that 3-4-3 in a sense, and looking to try and hurt them down that left side of their defence. But then I want to see Reece James start this game. I'm not going to put him in central midfield here. But we know when Reece starts games, it's not that he isn't adventurous. It's just not quite the same. If you're looking for that bombing wide player who's going to keep width, Reece really isn't being asked to do that when he plays most generally for Maresca. But I'd like Reece to start this game. There is a strong argument that Josh Achimpong starts here. I think he would come in for Tosin, but my instinct is still telling me that Tosin and Trev is going to be the back two. But there absolutely is a serious conversation about Josh Achimpong playing here. I wouldn't be happy to see Wesley Fofana start here. He just looks way off the pace. Benoit Badiashile, is he even ready to return? So for me, it would be Achimpong coming in, but that would be a big call. But I think, he's someone that has a lot of potential. I think has impressed when he's played for Chelsea. So it'd be a brave call in a way by Maresca, but I think given the recent form of the back two, I don't think either of them could complain about that change. Marco Correa will obviously start at left back again. I'm looking at him in a set-piece situation. When you're trying to crowd the Man United goalkeeper, he can be key in that aspect. Those knock-ons at the near post that have been quite devastating for Chelsea so far this season. Central midfield, I think there's going to be a big debate about this. I've seen many debates about this. I actually was on a debate about this with Louis on the Chelsea Echo with Eunice. And Caicedo obviously starts. I'd like to see Andrey Santos start for Chelsea. I just think there's a great energy about Santos. I think he's a great profile. I think there's a mobility and an energy, athleticism, a drive moving forward nearly every time he's come off the bench, which hasn't been many times, to be honest, or at least being able to get to watch him for an extended period so far for Chelsea. I've been excited as what we also saw in the Club World Cup. Enzo Fernandez, this is not a case, and I want to make this distinction. This is not putting down Enzo Fernandez and saying Enzo Fernandez has been crap. He's been dreadful. I think he's had some underwhelming performances so far this year, but I actually thought in midweek, fitness-wise, he looked up for it. He looked like he was, chasing down every ball. And creatively too, he does still create chances. But I also think there needs to be that room for competition, and that's why you have Santos. And Santos doesn't just look like a sporadic player that you can give 10 minutes here and there. He looks like someone to me that's going to progress into the first team. So maybe this is where he gets the nod. I still think percentage-wise, again, I think Enzo Fernandez starts this game, but I'm going to go with Andrey Santos, and I'd be very excited to see how he links up with the players in front of him. I mean, the ball he played for Cole Palmer, I know it was offside and it doesn't matter in the end, but it was an exceptional piece of creativity by Santos, and also just the balance between Caicedo and Santos against the United midfield, how we can overwhelm that United midfield, how athletically we can deal with the pace of the game and try and keep momentum and balance within the team. I think that's also important at Old Trafford. Right wing, Estevao. Estevao has to come back in here. He was ill against Brentford. He came off the bench against Bayern. This is the game he starts in, and I'm really excited because it's a bit like Santos, where I just want to watch more of Estevao play for Chelsea. I just love watching him play football, and this would also be the first time Estevao and Palmer play together, start a game together for Chelsea in a competitive environment, because we saw this against Bayer Leverkusen, but Estevao, Palmer, those two rotating, those two interchanging, those positions, those, again, trying to disrupt the Man United structure, which doesn't look very stable. Can this be a big night for both of them? And of course, Cole Palmer the other night was sensational. I mean, the goal he scored, can he make it 3-3? Can he continue that good form? What a great environment to do it and propel Chelsea forward. There's also another big debate around whether Alejandro Garnacho should start against his former club. I still think, though, Pedro Neto starts this game. Neto was not great in midweek, but he was also, I think, very impressive against Brentford. And, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And also just the sense that I think there's a lot of trust implicitly. I talk about this pretty much every preview. I think in Pedro Neto, he's a workhorse. He's someone that I think Maresca relies upon for his work going both ways. The fact that he can shift into that left wing back role and do his defensive duty, but also bring the team forward. I think Neto will start this game and Garnacho can be a finisher. I think Garnacho still probably has to earn that trust, and think about the great scenes if Garnacho comes off the bench and contributes to a Chelsea win. He has shown bright things coming off the bench in cameos, but I think his first start will be in midweek, most likely against Lincoln. That leaves João Pedro to start at centre forward. I still expected Chelsea to bring up some of the points that maybe this is not his best position, but at the moment with the injury situation, and also just the fact that João Pedro keeps contributing for Chelsea. I mean, you can't argue against the numbers. The numbers every time João Pedro plays for Chelsea, pretty much, he's either assisting or he's scoring a goal. And those are numbers you want to maintain. I think, the broader conversation about, in the long term, him playing a deeper position. But what I like about this with Estevao and Palmer is I could see that trio rotating pretty neatly and pretty fluidly throughout this game, because I think all three of those players would feel comfortable shifting into a central position, moving out to a deeper position, moving out to a wider position if it's needed at certain periods of the game. And defensively, again, if you're Man United, that's not a great place to be in, and I think would be quite tricky to handle if Chelsea are flowing and those players are in good form. So that is my 11. We will see what happens tomorrow. That's all I can say. Whether Chelsea break the curse or it's going to be 13 years, we will wait. But those are my thoughts. That's my preview. That's my lineup. Give me yours in the comments below, and I will see you again very, very soon. All the best.